Radioactive ideas are ideas that you should be very careful in espousing in public. They are ideas that go against the general narrative. I mean, they're ideas that most people don't believe in or in fact find horrifying. There's a saying attributed to Voltaire that is actually apocryphal. Whoever you cannot criticize is the person in power. Well, radioactive ideas are not quite about the people in power, although they encompass that. Radioactive ideas are ideas that can hurt you socially. Now, you don't want to say those ideas publicly, but you want to learn to entertain them. You see, one of the most important things of anybody for the development of a true mind, of a truly complete mind, of a mind that can actually understand the world, is to hold competing ideas, contradictory ideas, simultaneously in your head. It's not just having, one idea against the other. It's to have like 5, 10 ideas, all of them in opposition to one another, and just looking through them, figuring them out. See? That's what a great mind can do. And it's not something that, you're born with it and I'm such a genius, I just came out of the womb like this. No, it's training. Yeah. And the first step in this training of dealing with radioactive ideas is to think of that thing which you believe in implicitly. I don't know, say that football is the greatest sport ever, and then find the opposite. Football is not the greatest sport ever, I don't know, cricket is. And find out about cricket and explore cricket and start not only to explore cricket, but learn so much about cricket that you could argue from the point of view of cricket. Now this is, of course, is a trick from high school debating and college debating, the whole forensic thing. You want to do that. It's an incredibly important training for you. Because see, you could only figure out what's right, what's true, what's real, if you entertain the opposite notion. See? If I say, for instance, that the sky is green, and you're like, hey buddy, the sky isn't green, it's blue. Well, how am I going to know that? If nobody contradicts me. If I go through life saying the sky is green, the sky is green, the sky is green, and nobody comes up to me and says, and taps me on the shoulder and says, no, it's blue. If nobody contradicts me, I'm never going to know. Now, the problem we're having in our current society is that nobody dares contradict anybody. Everybody's too polite. You say some bullshit, and there's like, I saw some YouTube video where somebody went around saying, should we suspend the First Amendment? And a lot of people were like, well, if you think that you should, sure, Other people are like, well, I want to sleep with my sister. Do you think it's a good idea? And a lot of people, well, if it feels good and you're consenting, yeah, why not? What the hell is that all about? No. You have to go and contradict ideas, especially foolish ideas. Because you see, if you're too polite to contradict a foolish idea, that foolish idea will become prevalent. People will believe this shit. And all of a sudden, everybody's espousing that, the sky is green and we should suspend the First Amendment and, it's okay to sleep with your sister. I mean, come on, right? You have to learn the opposing idea. Learn it well enough that you can argue from that place. And that's the only way that you're going to figure out your own ideas and see where the weaknesses are. Because when you get in the shoes of your opposition and you argue as if you are the opposition, then you'll see the weaknesses of your position, of your true position, that is. See, you have to do this. You have to practice it. That's why you should always seek out those people that you don't agree with. Seek them out, engage them, argue with them. But that's the part of training your mind to hold contradictory ideas in your head. And it's a very, very good quality to have, a very good, not quality, talent, no, not talent, ability to have. It's like a craft, it's like carpentry, Carpentry, I suck at it, but I've gotten better at it as I've, practiced. When you practice something, you get better at it. Sometimes very much better at it, sometimes marginally better. Doesn't matter, you get better. And when you are talking about contradictory ideas, you want to be doing that. Radioactive ideas are different. Radioactive ideas are ideas that endanger you. And that's why you should always treat them very carefully. Because sometimes as you go through the world, you're going to start noticing some things. And these truths that you notice, because they are truths, because you notice them and you start to add them up, and over time you realize that's the way the world is. To articulate them can severely damage you. For instance, an easy one. And you will notice that most black people in the United States do not seem to be able to speak proper English, and they don't seem very intelligent. Now that's a radioactive idea. And that is a true idea. In point of fact, there have been a number of studies insofar as IQ tests are concerned, and other studies that demonstrate that unfortunately African Americans as a group, on average, I'm not talking about an individual, on average, are not as intelligent as white people. And Asian Americans in the United States tend to be smarter than white people. These are true facts. Nobody really worries that Asians are smarter than white people, but everybody freaks out about the notion that black people, on average, are less intelligent than white people. It freaks them out. It's a radioactive idea. It is true, but you can't say it. Because if you say it, people will call you a racist. I know that there are going to be a bunch of people who watch this video. Well, not many people watch my videos, but some of my 200 subscribers will probably unsubscribe because of that statement. Because they will say, hey, he's a racist. I'm not a racist. I'm just pointing out a truth. It's an uncomfortable truth. It's a radioactive truth. Radioactive truths are those things that can damage you and hurt you, but they are true. Now the problem is with radioactive ideas, the problem is ignoring them. You see? Because a lot of people find it easier to ignore them, or easier not to deal with them, and that's the mistake. You have to face radioactive ideas squarely, look them in the eye, and you have to take them, examine them carefully as you would any other idea, and you have to see, is this idea true? If it's not true, just throw it away and forget about it. You know, if it is true, and if it can cause you social damage, it can cause you damage, make you appear negative in the eyes of a lot of other people. People who have never met you, who don't know you. Well, then you have to be careful. You can't publicly entertain these ideas. You can't go off and say, oh, black people are less intelligent than white people, and tell everybody in your college or whatever. No, you got to keep your fucking mouth shut. Yeah? God gave you lips to keep them closed. Huh? Capiche? See, you don't mention radioactive ideas that you've come across, radioactive truths that you've come across, to people that you don't know. And not even to your best friends. You have to be very careful. Even your closest friends can turn on you if you show off or display some idea that they just can't cotton. You have to be careful. And it's a fact of life. Okay? Especially if you're intelligent, especially if you're observant of the world, especially if you're looking around and you're seeing things, and you're starting to distinguish between what people say is true and what is actually true. What is actually true is often very, very different from what people say is true. Most of the time, what people say is true and what is actually true pretty much coincide. I'd say in the scheme of things, 95%, you know. People say that the water is made up of H2O. It's true. You know, people say that, atmosphere is made up of, 70% nitrogen and 20% oxygen and 10% other. And it's true, you know, I mean, most of the time, most people say what's true. The society around you is going to tell you true information, but when you come across these radioactive ideas, you know, be careful. Don't fuck around. You know, I mean, would you fuck around with some plutonium, with a pound of plutonium, stuff that will kill you in about half an hour? You certainly would not. You'd be extra careful. You'd wear that big, thick lead suit and those extra thick lead gloves to pick it up and very very gingerly put it someplace else, because, you know, if you slam plutonium up against a bar stool or something, you know, it might blow up in a nuclear explosion, or else cause a very messy fizz, and you'd go up with it. Same with these ideas. You have to treat them with extra special care, and you have to entertain them only to yourself. Don't ever, ever, ever advertise them. Not if you want to get ahead. If you want to get ahead as the bomb thrower, as the guy who exposes these radioactive truths, sure, go ahead, but you'll be a jester. You'll be a jester. You'll be like Milo Yiannopoulos. Milo Yiannopoulos, great guy, funny, very smart, no question. And he said a lot of things that were very, very true. But his enemies were laying in wait, because he spouted off too many radioactive ideas, too many things that made too many people uncomfortable, and they were true. And when they had the first chance, they stuck the knife in them. You know, the whole thing about pedophilia and so on and so forth, that he espouses pedophilia, which is not really true. There were a whole host of magazines, online stuff, newspapers. They all had a raft of stories ready to pounce on the guy before it came out. They were all ready. They all came out with their knives, and they stuck him and they killed him. You know, I mean, the guy is inconsequential after that. Yeah. Now, you don't want that to happen to you. I mean, being a court jester is fun for about 5 minutes. But first of all, you have to keep it up. Second, eventually people will come after you. And it'll not just be one or two people, it'll be a whole fucking mob. Because if you spout off enough radioactive ideas, enough people will get pissed off that all of a sudden you're going to be all alone and isolated. So don't be stupid. But face these truths. The reason why you should face them and learn them and figure them out, no matter how radioactive and dangerous they may be, because a lot of times those radioactive ideas will give you the edge over everybody else around you. Knowing these radioactive ideas, understanding them, having examined them carefully, even if you're all alone, you will gain an advantage over your peers. That's why you want to learn them. You want to figure them out. Okay? And there are lots of radioactive ideas. And the easy way to figure them out, to look for them, is ask yourself, what can I not say in public? What idea can I not say? If I say it, what will happen to me? When you ask yourself that question, then you'll know. You'll know which are the radioactive ideas, which are the radioactive ideas, and which are the okay ideas. Can I say that women are oppressed? Oh, sure, say it all you want. Nobody's going to say anything. No, they'll probably praise you. It'll be a slimy, creepy, kind of disgusting praise, but they'll praise you nevertheless. Ask those questions that no one dares answer. That's where you'll find the radioactive ideas. Okay? And use those radioactive ideas, because after all, you know, a pound of plutonium is incredibly dangerous, but you can use it to make an atomic bomb. And if you walk around with an atomic bomb ready to, you know, fire on somebody, you're aces in my book.